folks, Old Man Grognard here. Today we're going to do a review of the long-awaited, long-anticipated Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. That is the cover right there. It has been released. It is releasing to Kickstarter backers right now, which means I have mine. And here it is. It's a hardback. You can also get them in soft cover and PDF eventually. I believe Drive-Thru might have them. Drive-Thru RPG. Not sure. But you can buy this now on Amazon, the softback version, the soft cover, but I've got a hardback. Once all the Kickstarter backers get their hardbacks, then they're going to be releasing it to the general public via Amazon. The soft cover is retailing for about $30 right now. I don't know about this, but anyway, let me tell you a little story. This is kind of an update to a review of Tunnels and Trolls I did a while ago. I remember that because I didn't have my microphone plugged in, so it's a little harder to hear. So let me give you a little mini history on Tunnels and Trolls for those of you who haven't read it or who couldn't hear me. This is the brainchild of Ken St. Andre and a few of his friends. This is the second role-playing game ever produced, and it was basically born out of frustration of Ken St. Andre seeing D&D and thinking he can do better. And in a lot of circles, I think he did. I do. He came up with his own mechanic using D6s, and it was a favorite. I mean, it was in America here. It was kind of like, yeah, that's nice. And but over Europe and Britain, boy, it hit before D&D. So to them, it was the first. It's really good for a group, but it can also do solo play. There's solo adventures out there you can run with it. Just you, yourself, and your dice. Making a character is pretty easy. It's 8 stats. Let me grab a character sheet. Or should I say, a character card. Because that's what I made. I made these myself. This here is a character card. That's my character I just rolled up called Rocco Gibraltar. He's a dwarf. And if you'll notice, there's 8 stats. Strength, Dex, Speed, Constitution, Intelligence, also known as IQ, Luck, Charisma, and Wizardry, Wiz. Now, this game is got the magic, it's got the combat. The combat's a little different. It's more like mass combat. Say you're 2 or 3, you're up against 3 or 4 goblins. All the monsters have what they call a monster rating. Most all of them. The big bads usually are statted out like this. But most of the stuff like goblins and orcs and things like that, they have monster ratings or MRs. Now that tells you everything. Everything except maybe the special abilities, and we'll get to that in a minute. You use the characters versus the monsters. The monsters have the monster rating of, say, I don't know, 20 each. So there's 4, 20, 40, 60, 80. That's their total monster rating. Your side, you are using your weapons, and I have a claymore here, which does 76. This is all D6s, by the way. It does 76. I roll that. My cohorts roll theirs, and we put them together. You also have something called personal adds or combat adds, because if in your stats, anything over a 12, you get 1 combat add. So he's got a total combat adds of 44 because he's a dwarf, and he's got a 34 strength and a 32 dex and a 14 luck. So we have, yes, stats can get really, really high. So we roll our stats for our weapons and the adds. The monsters roll their monster rating, or they have a monster rating, and they get adds too, which is half their monster rating. So a normal goblin would be, say it's 20, it would roll 20 divided by 10, 4. 4, and add 1 is 5. My math may be off, what the hell. Plus their adds are half their monster rating, which is 10. So 5d6 plus 10, they roll those 4 times because they're 4 goblins, and you compare them. And whoever wins, whoever's the largest, wins the battle. And the difference is the damage. Now, the nice thing about this damage is if there's only one-on-one, well, guess who takes the damage? But if it's a damage, they can distribute that damage any way they want. They can each have the characters take so much damage. They could have the big old bad old fighter with more armor over there take more damage. And armor comes off of this. So if the fighter, say, has a scale that protects against 5 points, okay, then you're just dealing with 5 points of damage. And the rest is distributed. I mean, okay, the weaker character, the rogue over there, can't take it so much. So the fighter will take like the most of it, and then, back and forth, things like that. There's other things like armor can be ablative. There's only 3 classes: wizard, fighter, and rogue. And rogue isn't what you think it is. It's not exactly a sneaky type. It's more like a rogue wizard. They learn spells however they can. The wizards have the Wizards Guild, who will teach them spells for a cost, but Wizards Guild will not teach any non-wizard spells. And that includes rogues, any kind of specialists, because there's more of that. Anyway, let me get back to this book. I feel like I'm trying to make up for that other episode here. This is it. This is the sum total of Tunnels and Trolls. It's a monster. It's like 360 pages. So like $30 for a softback is a pretty good deal, I think. It's got character creation. It's got optional things like martial arts and berserker combat. Berserker combat can come in handy. The spell book's in here. There are no monsters. And this goes across the board. It's one of the things that kind of irked me at first, because you basically have to, his idea is, or the book's idea, the author's idea, Ken St. Andre, Liz Danforth, Steve Crompton, and Bear Peters, is the idea of you make your own, because there's monster ratings. And I have managed to scrap together my own. I hear there's a monster book coming out. I'm not sure. But it's really easy to extrapolate from like a D&D monster manual or something like that, especially when they put a wandering monster chart in there. Hey, that's going to be the basis for mine right now. There's a few people like wizarddawn.com who has all sorts of nice generators and stuff for Tunnels and Trolls and other game systems, mostly D&D and such. But he also has lists of monsters there for his games of D&D, or rather Tunnels and Trolls. And so I printed one of those off, and I'm using that as a base. But it's got the equipment. It's got an atlas of Troll World, which was their original world, which is nice to go by. That's the upside. And there's other things on there that I like. The downside is they changed a few things. All of a sudden, all the equipment doesn't get any ads, because it used to get weapon ads. So like your longsword would like do 3d6 plus 5 or something like that. I'm just guessing off the top of my head. And they took all those away. And then they added a section if you want to customize your equipment. So you can get the pluses, but you have to pay for them. Come on, guys. Wizards have the disadvantage of they can only use weapons that do 2d6 plus hit. So naturally, I would look, if I was a wizard, I was making a wizard character, I'd look for 2d6 plus whatever the highest adds I can find. Well, all of a sudden, I have to pay extra for that. Thanks. Wiz, the stat, there used to be something in there called Creme resistance. Creme is how they refer to as wizardry or mana or magic points or whatever. Now, Creme resistance was important in earlier editions because every character got a wizardry stat, whether you were a wizard or not. And it's like, okay, well, what good is this for fighters? Well, in the earlier editions, they used to have Creme resistance that everybody has. It's like magic resistance in D&D. And for a spell to affect someone, you had to get over their creme resistance. What I didn't agree on is they said it's always on and nobody can lower it to have something affect them if they want to. I said no, 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 they can lower it if they want, but that's another story. Um, well, they did away with that in Deluxe, which automatically makes Wiz a dump stat. Yeah, laugh. But it makes Wiz a dump stat. And it's like, why are you, I'm just asking this question because players will ask me this question. Why do I need wizardry? You just do, okay? You can't do that. Um, so that's something you can house rule. Oh yeah, and that's one of the things about this. This thing is so like bulletproof, flexible. I mean, you want flexibility, you can house rule this until the cows come home. And it's still, you can add stuff, subtract stuff. It ain't going to affect it. It might harken back to an earlier edition of this, but that's about it. There's some people who are set in their ways, and that's fine. I get that way too. But this thing is, I think it's bulletproof. It has its flaws. Another one flaw that I had that I think I stated in the other review was the fact that D&D gives players a chance to shine. Everybody has a spotlight on it, him or her at one time or another. With Tunnels and Trolls, the GM has gotta really, you don't get that if you're doing group combat. I mean, there's ranged attacks and there's magic attacks also. Now, the ranged attack, they use what they call a saving roll. The saving roll is the be-all and end-all, everything wrapped up in this saving roll system. Because if it is an attack roll and you have to roll something, it's a saving roll. And basically, you do it on your stats. Saving rolls, and saving rolls have levels. I think level 1 starts at 20. So it's basically the saving roll minus whatever relevant stat it is. So if it's a saving roll, a first level saving roll of 20, and it's against my luck, which is 14. So you subtract 14 from 20. That's the number or more you have to roll. 6 or more. Okay. And also they have talents in here, which I like because I'm kind of funny on skill systems. Skill systems are like, they can bog stuff down. I know. I went through 3rd edition. I lived through 3rd edition. Skill, weapon proficiencies, non-weapon proficiencies for D&D. I went through that, and it's like, no. And also there's, well, I want to do something, but I don't have a skill for it. Do it anyway. You can only fail. And they got the idea that they can't do something that they don't have a skill for it. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. I like skill system, but I like it with a light touch. Just a little bit. Talents are the way to go. You pick a talent. Every level you get a talent. And levels are determined by your highest stat divided by 10. That's your level. So he's a 3rd level dwarven warrior. So going back to the saving rolls, you can use your talent to add your saving roll. Now they have a flat +3 with every talent for what, and you can use whatever stat you can justify to the GM. Like if I was using basket weaving, I'd use my dex. Okay, well, how do you justify it if I do it my strength? You got to justify it. But if you can do that, I always use climbing as an example. I got the climbing talent. Okay, well, you get a +3 to your dexterity, or your strength, or your luck. So you can use talents for that. You get one every level. Rogues get 2 talents every level, which is nice. But everybody needs to shine at one time or another in battle. And ranged attacks and magic give you part of that because you have to make a saving roll to hit a target with your bow or whatever, or even with a fireball, or take that, you fiend, which is basically their magic missile. So you do a saving roll to hit the target. And if you don't, here's how it goes. If you make the saving roll, you hit the target and did some damage to him. His armor comes off that damage, but not always. Some magic it doesn't. But all well and good, okay? Fine, you just weaken the opponent a little. Because their monster rating goes down as you hit them. They don't lose their number of dice they attack with. They lose their adds, but it does go down. So, and same with you. Your constitution is your hit points, by the way. And that's well and good. Well, say you don't make it. Say your arrow misses or something. Well, you still do damage, but you got to put it in with the group. So there's no like, hey, I took that guy out for you guys, So that's my thing. Hey, I snuck up on that ogre and backstabbed him. That's my thing. You don't get that as much as in here. So the feeling is in the community of TNT is the DM or the GM rather does things. They're the one who adjudicate it. Thank you. And basically creative role play and narration. Well, that's all fine and good, but there's a lot of GMs out there who can't do that. So I kind of wish there was a way. I mean, the ranged combat and the magic combat is a step in the right direction because that happens separately from melee. At the end, I don't know why, because I think magic should start at the beginning. If you're trying to take out a guy to help along, I think he should be magic melee combat, rather magic range melee. But anyway, that's my thing. That'd probably be my house rule. But that's the way it goes that way. So you got to be aware of that. But other than that, I can make it work, and I just love the way this works. This reminds me of the old D&D comic books that DC used to put out, or Marvel's Conan and King Conan series. It's very pulpish. You don't get the I hit like in D&D. He hits you, you hit me. You basically end up with a Popeye cartoon. Well, that's that I'm not denigrating it. I'm just saying you end up with like the way battle is dust and a flurry of fists and swords. And I kind of like that. It's easier to worry about. You don't have to worry about things like initiative, things like that. And it's like, boom, boom, when you're done. Now you're going to be rolling a lot of D6s. I'll tell you right now. You're going to be, because, this is a D6 ways you can do it. But I'm an old champion's hand, as you guys know, and I'm used to rolling buckets of dice. So it doesn't bother me at all. I even learned to add them up real quick. So that's another caveat emptor. But if you can, get this book. You got to try this. You got to try Tunnels and Trolls at least once. You may not like it. You may think it's crap, but it's a great book. And you can find right now, it on Amazon.com as a paperback, as a softback. Like I said, as soon as they get the Kickstarter backers, their hardbacks, the guys who ordered them, then they'll start selling the hardbacks. I have no idea what they'd sell it for. I'm figuring like upwards to 50, since they're selling the paperback for about 30. They may go 40. I don't know. Long gone are the days where they were cheap gaming stuff. But anyway, Amazon.com. Oh, and I also want to point out that we are now sponsored, whether they like it or not, by them, Manycam. You can find them at manycam.com. It's a very, very nice piece of software. I use it to record this, as you can see. Anyway, that's my review, and next time we'll get into some gaming stuff finally. And I will see you guys all later. Bye-bye.